On August 1, 2020 in Shibuya, Fuko finishes reading a manga about a romantic story. Feeling disheartened with her own life, she decides to commit suicide on a bridge. However, a weird man suddenly stops her. She says she wants to have a romantic story like the one in the manga, but can't do so because of her condition. Threatening him with a knife, she says she has a deadly disease one can get upon touching her. The man stabs himself to challenge her, falling onto the tracks and being hit by a train, shocking Fuko. But his head reappears, revealing himself as an undead. Using his blood to fly, he rescues Fuko, explaining that he's undead, not a zombie, and protects her from the police, taking her to a rooftop. Fuko shares her story of unluck and how her touch caused her parents' death. Undead tries consoling her, but a crate of bananas falls on him, confirming her power. Fuko tries to escape but slips, nearly falling, so he quickly saves her, determined to find a way to end his own immortality using her unluck. At his hideout, Undead experiments with Fuko's power, learning it increases the longer he touches her. He tells her to strip so that they can test it, but she runs away.
Oh shit, here we go again.
After revealing her long hair, fearing it will harm Undead, he offers to cut it while touching only her clothes. After the haircut, Fuko thanks him as he eagerly waits for her unluck to hit him. However, a man swiftly arrives and chops his head off when he was distracted. He threatens Fuko, revealing plans to take advantage of her power. Fuko, sad over Undead getting captured, quickly summons a lightning attack and frees him. Undead defeats the men and saves her, wondering what her true unluck is as a meteor strikes the building. He thanks her as she introduces herself and names him Andy before he suggests they should perform intercourse to test her unluck, hearing, which she hurriedly runs away, leaving him confused.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Andy thinks having intercourse with Fuko might make his bad luck worse, so he wants to test it out, but she says he only cares about himself and sees her as a tool, and that she doesn't want to sleep with him. She explains that her bad luck gets worse the more she cares about someone and warns him that making her do things she doesn't like will make her hate him. Hearing this, Andy decides to protect Fuko, until she also develops feelings for him and takes Fuko to one of his secret hideouts where he gives her armor for her to protect her from the people who attacked them yesterday, the people who have special powers to break the rules of the world. Andy and Fuko escape on a motorcycle to escape them. While they're going, Fuko asks where they're going, but he remarks that they're just running away. He says he'll protect her until she likes him, believing that when she does, he'll have a lot of bad luck. They see a sudden rift in the sky and realize that the guys are coming. One of the members from the Union comes out and attacks them. Fuko tries to help Andy, but she can't move properly as another one of them wants to talk to her first before hurting her. After Andy gets hurt, he tries to fight back, but is unable to move and tells her that the two guys are external targeting restrainer type negators with special powers. Fuko realizes that one of them can control her movements with his mind as one of them. Void says there are no more spots left for new people. Andy says they should beat them up to get the spots before Fuko blushingly touches him on purpose.
Okay.
Andy defeats Void and rushes forward to attack Shen but hesitates. Seeing this, Shen agrees to put a good word in for Fuko to have her join the force and orders them to kill another guy before leaving. Andy says they should head to Russia where they'll get some help to kill the member. Andy and Fuko are on a yacht headed for Vladivostok. Fuko worries about potential attacks after Shen's warning and sees enemy planes attacking them. Despite Fuko's fears, Andy remains confident in her ability to influence their luck and neutralizes one of the attacking planes with a grenade. Later, he reveals key members of the Union, including some people from his past, the creator of an unbreakable katana, an engineer who experimented on Andy, and a woman capable of creating invisible barriers. Andy wants to test Fuko's abilities even more, but she hesitates, worried about the unpredictable consequences. Meanwhile, the girl Jana observes their journey from a satellite, though when she sinks their yacht, Andy swiftly rescues an unconscious Fuko trapped underwater. Using his abilities, he frees Fuko and brings her to safety before they unexpectedly get launched onto a nearby plane. Taking control of the plane, he plans to continue testing her abilities, seeing them as a potential advantage. Upon reaching Lake Baikal, they eject from the plane and land safely. Andy arranges to meet old friends while Fuko explores the area and runs into Gina, an artist interested in Japanese culture. Despite being initially reluctant, she starts painting with Gina, reflecting on change and stability in their conversation. As Fuko completes her painting, she shares her thoughts with Gina, who acknowledges the beauty in her words, but they're suddenly interrupted when Andy returns and attacks Gina, revealing her as the woman who captured him decades earlier. Undisturbed, Jana calmly gets ready to fight them, revealing her mission to go through transformation to escape the people after her. During meditation, Shen becomes excited about fighting Andy after a long time, but Mui scolds him for losing focus. Shen asks Mui if she can smooth things over with the higher-ups, but she reveals she's already submitted a convincing report. Mui also informs Shen that Jina has contacted Andy and Fuko, but he remains confident they'll be fine. However, Mui continues to discipline Shen as he keeps getting distracted. When Jina rushes to hug Andy, he tries to defend himself, surprising Fuko, who's amazed to learn that Jina was the one who captured Andy 40 years ago, despite looking the same age as her. Jina expresses her happiness, but Andy explains that Jina was 16 when she caught him, making her 66 now. Andy is impressed by Union's anti-aging technology, but Jina quickly corrects him, revealing her permanent youthful appearance and using her power to deflect his sword, reminding him how she's still 16. Seeing Andy's cut face, Jina excitedly attempts to kiss it, but it disappears before she can. She reveals that she was the first to fall in love with Andy and discloses their encounter when all seats were taken and she was put in charge of overseeing him. Despite apologizing for his mess, Andy remained calm, using his time to learn and prepare for their rematch. 10 years later, Andy escaped, and after 40 years of not having been discovered, Jina finally found him again after he caused this situation with Fuko. As Jina reminisces, Andy tries throwing grenades at her, but they have no effect. Jina annoyingly remarks that Shen fought Andy first, but she's grateful to him since his defeat opened up a seat that Andy could fill. Andy quickly starts battling her, collecting information on her abilities while dodging her attacks. He observes her ability to solidify water and create invisible barriers and stares and questions what the nature of her power is. As they're fighting, he realizes that Jina negates the change in an object's form, explaining her invisible attacks. She captures him and warns him to give up on Fuko, but Andy remains firm, declaring Fuko as his own. Jina threatens to take Andy's head, prompting him to use a grenade to create a diversion. He notes that Fuko's touch affects Jina's ability. He tells Fuko to keep touching him, and Jina sees him regenerating inside Fuko's shirt and assumes she seduced him with her body.
Yeah, boy.
Andy explains the differences between their powers, and eventually, Jina accepts the change, kisses Andy, and peacefully passes away. Andy and Fuko visit an empty restaurant, where Fuko mourns Jina's death. Andy remembers her desire to die, coming from her visit to him in the lab, where she expressed her reluctance in killing to survive. He acknowledges that Fuko's unluck saved Jina and says they can change Union to prevent others from suffering like Jina did. He predicts Union will get them soon and suggests they drink in Jina's memory. As they prepare to drink, a creature crashes in through the ceiling, addressing them as EX and X. They fall into a tunnel and encounter a round table with Judas, the leader, and other members. Judas reveals 6 new quests from Apocalypse and Artifact, capturing UMAs and negators for rewards or penalties. Shen's analysis suggests focusing on the first 3 quests while ignoring the 6th. Jude assigns the quests, and Fuko questions that Root's willingness to follow Apocalypse's orders. Jude explains their aim to challenge the creator of Earth and the need for strength to accomplish their goals. Andy confronts Apocalypse about the most challenging quest, making him reveal the quest to capture UA spoil. Despite Shen's objections, Andy, Fuko, and Shen accept the quest. On August 21st, Mui helps Fuko prepare, revealing her inability to participate in quests because of not having an emblem. Shen says Andy needs a suit for protection and access to public services, but he tries denying this, wanting to travel alone with Fuko. An alarm alerts them of UMA no. The 1129s escape, prompting a confrontation with Clothes. After a struggle, Andy earns a promotion to AX seat for disarming Clothes, and Union receives a report of a rotting corpse in New York. Andy and Fuko arrive in Nevada, deciding on a truck instead of Andy's usual helicopter. Fuko suggested they head to Vegas, but Shen, who had been hiding as a stowaway, steps in, revealing Longing as their destination. He explains that Longing is a rural area known for cowboy movies and says it's probably overrun by zombies now, revealing the connection to spoil and asking Fuko to consider the meaning of spoil as decay. He shows them recordings confirming Longing's plague and warns Andy of the danger. After resting for the night, Shen reassures Fuko of their plan to confront Spoil. She says she wants to help, motivated by the reward's potential link to Unrepair, which could hold clues to Andy's search for death. Shen, forced into the mission, waits for Andy's battle with Victor, and they set out for Longing the next day. Upon reaching Longing, they run into a massive wall and a horde of zombies. Andy, eager for action, swiftly starts defeating them, searching for clues among the zombies. He recognizes a zombie with some remaining humanity, remarking that it could lead them to Spoil. Despite Fuko wanting to join, Shen says they should be careful, and Andy admits to not having much UMA fighting experience, prompting Shen to explain the risks. Andy decides to face Spoil directly, allowing himself to decay in the hope of gaining more information. As his body decays and regenerates, he manages to communicate with his zombie bride, agreeing to her marriage proposal for information on Spoil's location. Meanwhile, Fuko and Shen encounter cursed children, victims of Spoil's influence, and start battling them. At the church, Andy, now allied with the zombies, faces Spoil disguised as an angel statue. Spoil, realizing Andy's status as a negator, tries to destroy him, but Andy uses the zombies to protect himself. With their protection, Andy gets ready to take Spoil down, remarking that he's got to bag this sucker. Andy tells the zombies to attack Spoil while Fuko introduces herself and Shen to a boy named Ken. Ken tells them how he and the other children survived Spoil's attack on Longing. He explains that Spoil appeared suddenly and turned everyone into zombies. Luckily, Ken's teacher took them to an underground location where they'd be safe. Ken's teacher promises not to die until she gets married, but unfortunately, she doesn't keep her promise, which upsets Ken. He comforts his friend Mi, whose condition is worsening rapidly. Ken reminds Mi of her dream to give their teacher many sunflowers, which raises her spirits. He asks Fuko and Shen to defeat Spoil before they hear loud noises outside and see Andy fighting Spoil with the zombies. Andy asks Fuko and Shen to look after his bride, who turns out to be their teacher. Meanwhile, Ken reveals this fact to the others. While watching Ken and his friends reunite with their teacher, a zombie bumps into Fuko and rushes towards Spoil, collapsing along the way. Andy asks the zombie to touch Fuko, turning them into bombs to attack Spoil. Fuko doubts the plan, but Ken's teacher proves her wrong by sacrificing herself and exploding within Spoil's range. Though it damages Spoil slightly, it's not enough to defeat him. Shen tells the children to stay underground while Fuko starts touching other zombies to spread more explosive energy. Shen informs Andy and Fuko that they've been infected by Spoil's curse, so he suggests killing Spoil instead of capturing it, but Shen warns against it, remarking that they might fail. Spoil absorbs more zombies and transforms, overwhelming Andy in its second form. It taunts Shen and Fuko, but Fuko's heartfelt speech about dreams and resolve boosts her power, shocking Spoil. Shen shares his dream with Spoil, hoping to increase his curse's strength before attacking it with his cane. Spoil is fighting Fuko and Shen, who tells Andy and Fuko that he wants to use his staff to fight Spoil since he knows how Spoil's talents work.
Emotional damage!
Andy decides to detonate more explosives to try to neutralize Spoil's ability while Shen battles Spoil. Andy remarks that there will be more explosions once he touches Fuko, but instead of that, her misfortune sets off a little earthquake before Andy accidentally stumbles into the crack. Shen feels it would be a great idea to send Spoil into space and says he can launch Spoil and Andy into space, but until he gets there, Andy has to figure out a strategy to survive against Spoil's powers. Andy agrees, but only under certain conditions. Using Shen's staff, he and Spoil travel into space, but not before giving Shen the card that has been stuck in his mind all along. Fuko is worried since he warned her that he would go off the rails if he took it off. Andy uses his enhanced strength to fight Spoil in space, removing his head and chopping him up into bits. Shen orders the children to get away from them and toward Earth and claims that Fuko and he are sticking behind to wrap things up and that the group has plans to save them. Shen tells Mu to prepare the special beam when Andy arrives back on Earth with Spoil's core. Victor, who was Andy's dual personality, is welcomed by Shen, but Victor is more comfortable going by Victor. Victor is touched by Fuko, but her unluck powers unfortunately do not work. Shen tries one more desperate attempt to protect Fuko before Victor hurts her. To counter Victor, the other Union members show up and get ready to use other strategies to defeat Victor after they are unable to capture him. Victor continues his battle with the Union members while Sparks takes Fuko and Shen to safety, earning Fuko's gratitude. She requests to go back to the fight, but Sparks denies this, so she turns to Shen for Andy's card, and he hands it over, encouraging her to do her best. Annoyed, Sparks eventually agrees to help Fuko, while the Union members keep up their fight against Victor, who has multiplied himself. Fuko successfully recognizes the real Victor among the copies and rushes towards him, waiting for a surge of bad luck. Her plan is to weaken him and insert Andy's card into his head to take control over his body, but Victor says he's the original and doubts her plan will work. He wonders why the Union members protect Fuko since it would create another empty position for them before Jews orders the others to defeat Victor's copies and protect Fuko. Fuko shoots Victor's scar and inserts Andy's card into the wound, calling out to Andy to take control. Andy briefly returns, kisses Fuko, and jokes about continuing their conversation after the unluck, so Fuko quickly warns everyone of the incoming bad luck, telling them to escape. Shen intervenes to capture Victor as meteors rain down on the battlefield, and Nico shields everyone from the meteor shower with his powers. Later, Fuko returns to the battlefield and places Andy's card inside Victor's skull. On August 31st, Fuko wakes up with Andy by her side and tells him off him for not informing her about his plan involving Victor and for nearly leaving her alone again. Andy thanks Fuko for not giving up on him and asks her to get ready so they can attend the Union Roundtable. At the Roundtable, Fuko discovers that Andy has risen in rank due to the Clothy incident as Apocalypse gets ready to announce the mission results to everyone. A guy discusses their skills with it being known only as unseen while in the Union facility. Everyone at the Roundtable is waiting for Apocalypse to inform them of the result of their operation. Jules, Billy, Tatiana, Ishin, Phil, and Top get congratulated by Apocalypse for finishing your task. He suggests they can add a new negator to the Union and adds a seat to the Roundtable. For the second mission's prize, he provides Unburn's location and indicates that it will be accessible for a period of 7 days. He thanks Nico for his quest by placing everything in English and gives the location of the Rebellion artifact to the players who complete the fourth assignment. He provides the location of Unrepair as a reward for Andy, Shen, and Fuko's assignment. For the sixth unseen mission, Apocalypse considers it unsuccessful because the people who attempted it were killed. Apocalypse punishes the Union for not finishing every mission by summing up the UMA galaxy as Jules requests that a creature named Move should carry them to the UMA's location. According to Jules, they had to stop the new UMA Apocalypse from entering their world. Axe, an extraterrestrial species, and many planets that resemble Earth are summoned by the UMA. Jules faces their leader as the Axe assault Earth and declines surrendering when the Axe leader orders them to do so. Suddenly, the soldiers and ships of the Axe are destroyed one by one. The commander of Axe questions Jules why his fleet is turning against one another. Ignoring him, Jules says that this is what's occurring because of her injustice powers. Jules tells the others that even though she used her talents to save everyone, it's important for them to stay out of trouble from now on. She claims that out of 101 penalty spots, Apocalypse has filled 99 of them. But if they go above 100, Ragnarok will appear, giving the impression that the end is near. Jules warns them that if they don't fill the 11th seat within the next 3 months, they will be punished. He escapes and advises other alien species not to attack Earth after terrorizing the Axe commander. They all decide to track down and join Unrepair. Jules gives the assignment to Tatiana, Fuko, and Andy, who assures Jules' episode that they will succeed in their quest. Fuko and Andy enter the shopping blonde shop in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where Fuko feels nervous in the presence of so many celebrities. Andy tries to ease her behavior by showing off his well-dressed appearance. In a flashback, they're on an airplane discussing an upcoming black market auction event. Andy hopes to find Unrepair at the auction, but isn't sure about his intentions on whether or not he'll buy or sell something. Andy shows Fuko the fake passes made by Nico and explains their plan to infiltrate the event with a suitable attire. Fuko gets upset with Andy for choosing revealing outfits for her, and they annoyingly start arguing about it before she remembers a conversation with Jules about her mission involving Unrepair. Jules tells her that her incredible unluck powers could probably challenge divine forces. To help Fuko make use of her powers, Jules wants her to work closely with Andy and develop feelings for him. After choosing a dress, Fuko and Andy go for a walk where he jokingly asks her for a kiss like the one she gave Victor. Fuko hurriedly apologizes after unintentionally causing an accident with a truck and a shark. Later, Andy discusses Victor and his origins with Fuko, thinking that Victor might be their body's original host. Fuko promises to help Andy regain control of their body if Victor takes control of his body again. During their conversation, Tatiana interrupts to report an infiltration plot by the Negator Hunters, who are looking for revenge against Negators and might target Unrepair, so Fuko and Andy plan to stop them from capturing or harming Unrepair. Aboard the ship hosting the auction, Fuko overhears guests discussing the consumption of UMAs before Andy reassures her, saying their fate won't change no matter what their actions are. Fuko reflects on her own identity and compares herself to UMAs, while Andy explains why he chooses to side with the Union despite his initial hesitation. As Fuko's about to reveal her decision, some intruders are plotting murder. Tatiana informs Andy, Fuko, and Jules about the threat of the Negator Hunters. Determined to protect Unrepair, Fuko determinedly says it isn't okay to take out the powers of a Negator on the world and gets ready to stop their plans.